Now, I know you're wondering, how would this happen? And I'm gonna be straight up. Azuku was on his players shit one day. Like, that nigga was on some fucking, I'ma get that bitch today type energy. Like, that nigga was on fucking demon time. So he sees this young fine thing and he walks up to her and he like, God damn, you have some ass. But it doesn't say that out loud because like on some shit like, you know. Now he approaches her and he don't, Izuku don't have no fucking aim. So he kind of being awkward. He kind of trying to like politely ask her on a date and then for some sex, and this bitch just fucking reads this nigga's mind, and she's like, I'm down to fuck, but I ain't dating your ass. So first off, Azuku like, for sure, like fuck is you on, my nigga? Like, you down, I'm down, you up, I'm up, I'll ride for the gang. Fuck is you talking about? So then, you know, they go back to his house. They give that and give it that eat. Now, unknowing to him, he fucked a daughter of Zeus. Now you know, up inside of Olympus, them bitches be horny as fuck. Like, I mean, they be fucking anybody of any age. They be on some fucking FBI open up type shit. So after he was done with that, after Zeus found out, he was enraged. But he couldn't just regularly kill humans. After like killing a few humans for just angering him and just doing some petty shit, the gods basically made him set up some ground rules. First ground rule was, my bad for that. Let me just fix this if I can. This video is gonna be fucking iffy as fuck. So, first rule they made up, you just can't go around killing humans. Because we need them to believe in us for our power and to, stay inside of existence. Now, Zeus is like, for sure, like, fuck is you talking about? So, he like, since I can't kill your dumbass, I'ma curse your dumbass. So, he decides to curse him. Now, the thing about the werewolf curse is they died out a long time ago. The reason they died out wasn't from hunting. They died out because the last of their kind that wasn't hunted decided not to infect anybody else because they didn't want to put their or breed with anybody else because they didn't want to put their children or anyone that they infected through that. So they died out. Now, the thing is, Izuku would then become the first alpha. Now, off the fucking bat, let me tell you what happens when you become the first alpha. Now, I'm going off of Teen Wolf shit. Not on the first alpha shit, but like everything else I'm gonna go on like Teen Wolf type shit. So I'm gonna say that the first alpha is, I would say, 5 times stronger than a normal werewolf, but they can still be over like they can still be killed by their own betas if the betas try hard enough. So Izuku wakes up one day and it's a full moon. Now he just casually walks outside of the house and his mom looks at him while she's making dinner because at first he was on his phone and chilling inside of his room, but then he opens up his door and then just straight up walks out of the house. Now Inko's basically asking him where he's going, but he just closes the door on Inko's face, which makes Inko think that he's having a bad day. So she doesn't do shit because first off, she's a white mom, and I like Okay, no offense to white people. No offense, no offense, no offense. But there's two types of parents. Well, three, technically. The ones that whoop their kids regularly, the ones that don't whoop their kids, or the ones that just borderline abuse their kids. Like, they take it to a whole fucking new level. You don't have to go that far. Like, no matter, unless your fucking child threw your mom's ashes inside of a volcano, not a fire, on accident, purposefully threw them inside of a volcano, you should not borderline be fucking abusing them. Cause that shit is just not okay. On some shit. So you niggas need to stop on that shit, cause like it is never that serious, my nigga. Like it's never, never. I don't care if if they if they spat inside the president's face. It is never that serious. Now he then blacks out and wakes up in the middle of a forest. Now he gets up and he's like, "That's weird." But as he looks down at his nails, they've grown out. Not like a werewolf's nails, but they've just grown out and, they're not, excuse me, they're not sharp, they're just long. Now, he recognizes the woods because unlike inside the original anime, his dad didn't leave him off rip. His dad got shot up, getting caught up, my nigga. He got caught up inside of a villain fight. So when he was about 6, uh, fucking, his dad was caught up inside of a fight against some villains in All Might, and he had gotten killed. And that's how his fucking dad got dipped out of this universe. So let's not get into that right now. Now, he then kind of gets sad because he hasn't been in these woods for a while because they remind him of his dad, and his dad brings up sad memories. Now, as he gets sad, he kind of like gets extremely sad, I guess you could say, and it kind of spikes his primal side a little bit, and his eyes start glowing. Now, this random lady behind him is basically walking up to him, and she's like, "Are you okay?" Since his clothes are all ripped up. Now, he looks back, and his eyes are just glowing red, and she runs away. I ain't gonna lie. Because my nigga, unless your quirk is active and you doing some shady shit inside the forest, red eyes are never a good idea. Like, if you see someone with red eyes, even if humans inside of like the next 20 to 30 to 50 years develop this fucking power, my nigga, run away if they're inside the woods with red fucking glowing eyes. Even if there's a chance they could have a mutation quirk. Because, my nigga, look. I mean, if they're in the woods and their eyes are glowing, and you can mostly control your quirk, and it wouldn't really make sense that your eyes would just be red and constantly glowing unless your quirk was active and you were doing some shady shit inside the forest. Which he wasn't at all, but it was safer for her to run away. And on some serious shit, I didn't actually mean like the future shit, because like that's highly unlikely, but you fucking know what I mean. Now he gets up and walks back home, and his mom is basically confused. And at this point, she was calling up the police. And as he enters the door, she says, "Never mind, he just entered the door." And she hangs up the phone. Now, Inko basically runs to him and asks, where did you go?" And Izuku's basically like, my nigga, I don't even fucking know myself. I think I should go and see a fucking therapist. Because I'm pretty sure blacking out and then waking up in another place isn't normal unless you have unless you're under a lot of stress and blacking out. or you have a mental disability. And I'm pretty sure if I'm going through a lot of stress and blacking out and walking all the way to the forest, there might be something fucking wrong with me. Now, Izuku decides to go to the doctor, and the doctor checks him out, and he says, fuck. And he straight up says this right in front of Inko and Izuku. Now, he is deemed as quirkless still, but when they drew blood from him, when his wound started healing from the instant impact, the blood turned black. That shit's not normal. That shit is not normal. I mean, now, as the doctor was checking out his blood, Inko was basically like, fuck, what the fuck does this nigga have to have a shit right after he checks the fucking blood? Now, the doctor turns around and he's like, fuck, repeating his words. He says, I don't know why I'm gonna say this. Izuku starts to get extremely nervous, and he says, "Please don't say I caught an STD. I knew I shouldn't have fucked the bitch." And Ink goes like, "What the fuck? When did you? When is you going out fucking bitches?" And he's just quiet. He's just like, "Oh fuck, I fucked up." And the doctor said, "Well, no STD is supposed to make your blood black, and also your skin's healing extremely fast, even though you have no cork. Another thing is, your nails are growing at a extremely fast rate, and it seems like your entire structure is just different in general. You're just built different." Now, the doctor gives him a card, and he basically says, "Yeah, come back. Probably never if you don't want to be tested on. I'm a cool nigga, so like, give me about $50. I won't tell this to the government, you know. And yeah, my nigga, like, you can go." So she gives him the $50, you know, on some shit, and he lets them leave. Now, Inko's kind of fucking worried because she's like, fuck, what could this bitch have had? Now, Zuku went up to his room and is just freaking out. Now, as he's freaking out, his arms then start to tense up. And then he puts his hands inwards. And he balls up his hands. And as he does, he feels a prick. Now, he then quickly releases his hands as he hears a type sound. And then he looks at his nails and they're sharpened. I mean, they're still the same length that they were, but they're sharpened. Now, as they are sharpened, he then says, literally out loud, "The fuck?" Now, he touches the desk with his nails, and as soon as his hands come in contact with the desk, his fingernails instantly, like, how do I say it? I guess sink through the desk. Not like completely, but like a centimeter through. And he then puts his hand upwards and he then sees a nail mark. So after doing this and seeing this, he then realizes his nails have to either be extremely sharp or he has to be extremely strong, because that's not normal. Now, he then remembers back to when he made that woman scream and run away. So he then goes to the mirror and he closes his eyes and thinks of his father. Now, as he does, this then brings on the same sad sensation. And he opens his eyes and He then looks inside the mirror as he sees his eyes glowing red. He then jumps back and then falls onto his bed. He then almost screams, "What the fuck?" As he then realizes he might be the newest evolution inside of his planet. Because nothing like this has ever been announced before. Now, another thing he notices while his eyes are red is his teeth have also sharpened, which means that this I guess you could say evolution is a K isn't like exactly canine evolution. It's a predator evolution, which means that his body's made for hunting, and that's pretty much it. You know, it's literally just made for hunting. Now, the next day he then goes to school, and as he goes to school, he then notices he's stronger, cause as he does what boys do, and jumps up and hits the top of the not like the ceiling, but the edge of the doorway. Pieces of the doorway then crumble. Now he's just confused because he's not a strong person, but with that amount of strength, he was able to damage that. He then starts quickly walking away, trying to get away from the evidence, since, just broke a wall. And he, gets away. Now, after he gets away, Bakugo then appears from around the corner. And Izuku, realizing he has powers, tries not to hurt Bakugo. But he has more confidence, and first off, his healing's faster. And also, the newfound strength, claws, and teeth. You know what I mean. Now, Bakugo basically says, what are you doing, you quirkless nerd? Now, as Izuku hears this, he then lets out all of his frustration on Bakugo immediately, as he realizes he has powers now and he will protect himself, but he won't get carried away. He then says, "Bakugo, you say the same thing every day and it becomes less and less funny as you say it. And you become less and less worthful inside of this world as you go on." He then says to Bakugo, with Bakugo basically being shocked that Izuku is even showing a little bit of fucking courage. Now, at this point, Bakugo's getting ready to punch Izuku in his fucking face. But Izuku says, "Okay, look, before you punch me, Bakugo, I just recently got information by some tests that I have gained a very fast healing process and a little bit of super strength. So I'd probably not suggest you try and, hurt me." Now, as soon as he says that, Bakugo then says, "Okay, so that means you have a healing factor and you can heal fast now, right?" And Izuku says, "Yeah, that's what I just said. My bad." Now, Bakugo then hits him with an explosion in the stomach and then says, "Then that means I don't have to hold back, do I?" Izuku then spits up blood, and as he does, he then... Let me get this straight. You guys, if you've ever seen Teen Wolf, a day and then the full moon goes down, and then the full moon kind of just doesn't affect them after the day that it's fully up. The thing about the full moon is it doesn't immediately go away. It goes back to slowly switching phases. That's why it takes it so long to get to the full moon phase. So Teen Wolf was kind of wrong on like making it that the full moon, just goes down and doesn't affect you anymore. Because that wouldn't exactly make sense, and that would be going against its own, its own thing. Now, Bakugo then looks very happy with himself as Izuku looks back up with red predator eyes. Now, the difference between a person with a very powerful quirk looking at you and a predator looking at you are two different things. Now, imagine being in the woods, right? You're with your friends, family, whatever the fuck you have, guardians, and basically you just chilling, And you guys all see one random wolf just stroll towards you. And he looks directly at you. Now, this would feel more threatening than a gun being pointed directly at your body and or face. The reason why is because the human body gives off a certain sense when an animal or a person gives off a certain amount of bloodlust. Like when someone gets very angry, you can usually notice how angry and or how much bloodlust they're letting off. So when he looks up at Bakugo with these red eyes, Bakugo kind of flinches. And then he gains back his center, realizing that it's just Izuku. Now, as he says that, Izuku then balls up his fist and then punches Bakugo in the stomach. Now, he still has control, but let me get this straight with you guys. When he punches Bakugo in the stomach, he really punches him, which means he held back enough to not kill Bakugo by breaking all the ribs in his body. And from the concept that I said, the quirks and the endurance, the higher endurance, even if the quirk wasn't meant for endurance thing, I'm gonna keep that on all my whiffs. So it kind of fractured a few ribs. And this wasn't like a normal punch. This was like a Sasuke versus Naruto punch. When the punch almost goes all the way into their body. And this sends Bakugo flying. Now his two goons then gang up on Izuku. And since he has, primal set of fighting, or now the predator is kind of out, the guy flying at him and the guy kind of stretching, he grabs both of them, swirls them around, and then throws them through a window. Now the kid with the wings isn't exactly worried, but he can't catch momentum fast enough, so he hits the ground and breaks his leg. The other guy catches on to the side of the building, and right before he touches the ground, he kind of stretches his arms, and he stretches his arms on accident from the amount of pain, and then he stops stretching by the time he almost hits the ground. Now, remember, he's grabbing a window that had glass inside of it, so he's cutting his fingers constantly. And then Izuku walks up to him and steps on his fingers, basically pushing the glass into his fingers. And the guy lets go about a story off the ground. And he hits the ground and he hurts himself, but he doesn't fracture or break anything. Now, as Zuku then walks to class, everybody sees his primal set of eyes. Now, they then start to slowly fade away. And as everybody notices, his nails then become more human like. They're not as sharp as they were. But before I guess you could say the claws went back in, when he was fighting Bakugo, he scratched the wall, which this scratch looked like I guess you could say, a bigger wolf scratch. If a wolf was bigger, then that would be the equivalent of how the scratch would look. Now, this is where I'm going to leave it off. If you guys enjoyed, then you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, you can always unsubscribe later. It's really your choice, and have a good day, I guess, because I'm about to make 2 more what ifs, and then I'm going to bed or reading a web novel. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.